What is going on, everyone? Nostalgia925 coming at you with another Digimon comparison video that quite frankly was not supposed to be made, but I simply had to do that for reasons which will be clear in a little moment. Let me give you some context. I'm sure some of you remember that one video I made called Digimon vs Pokemon, Royal Base and Vespiquen Beehive comparison. I granted the request of our fellow brother Andres Marrero, who wanted me to compare the Royal Base in Digimon, which is a base with all sorts of bees as inhabitants, to the Vespiquen Beehive, a hive of bees in the Pokemon universe. It was a video I made with no intentions whatsoever to compare which one of the hives would be more powerful than the other. I was careful with my words because once I made that video declaring an intellectual war on Pokemon, some people found it dumb to make comparisons, to which I have to say why. As long as you're not belittling the other franchise and you respect the other's opinion, why not have some fun in seeing an intellectual fight between the different fans every now and then, huh? The feedback I received from Andres Marrero in that one video comparing Digimon's quote-unquote beehive, which is called the Royal Base, to Pokemon's beehive was very interesting to say the least. I took my time to figure out why he was displeased with the video I made for him. It would appear that my analysis was not fair, meaning I disappointed the one person I made the video for out of the, well, almost 12,000 followers and non-followers who all have many requests. My heart is broken. Andres said the following: "Do not think so little of your viewers, or at least do not think so little of myself." My answer would probably have continued with the following: "If I thought so little of my viewers, why am I constantly going out of my way to include their comments in my videos? Most YouTubers will ask money for that or something else. You are not even a Patreon supporter. Still, I choose to make the video for you while my Patreon supporters are asking other requests. I did that for you because I care about you, bro. I elevated you over them and the other thousands of followers by granting your request. I took a day off for you, so that you come at me claiming I think little of my own life familiar? Yes, I can make mistakes. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I will make mistakes. But who is perfect here?" Is that enough a reason to come at me like that and hurt my pride? My pride, which is the people. My pride is the fact that I know I can count on the trusted opinions of those I ask to share them. Marine Solar, Might Dino, Zach Ferguson, Silver Sapphire 5 and more. I've gone out of my way to make videos for them and others. I made videos that were longer than 15 minutes without asking anything in return. No money, no shout out, nothing. Still, I'm being told I think little of my viewers. Talk about irony. I guess it is a life lesson, isn't it? Sometimes you can go out of your way, sacrifice both time and efforts for someone, only for that someone being disappointed. Anyway, it would appear that in the video I made comparing the beehives of both Pokemon and Digimon, I used notions that seemingly give the impression that Digimon are somehow superior, which I tried to avoid. I said that the Digimon developers took it to the next level or levels. With that, I meant that the Digimon developers wanted to exaggerate their approach to the bees in the Digimon universe. Because, look, a real beehive is not that big. A base, however, is extremely big. The Digimon developers told themselves that instead of giving our bees a semi-normal beehive like in Pokemon, we're going to make a military base out of it. They made an exaggeration of a beehive, and that is what I called taking it to the next level or levels. It had nothing to do with superiority whatsoever, it had only something to do with the fact that Digimon always tend to exaggerate everything they do. Andres did not see it that way and decided to write a rebuttal of 6 pages long. A rebuttal means a statement that a claim or criticism is not true. In his case, he said the following: "So what? So what they have laser weaponry and missiles and radar? Is that supposed to make them better? Cooler perhaps, but are they more efficient? Does the Royal Base have the better units? To determine that, I'm going to highlight Combi's capabilities and place them in combat scenarios against each other of the confirmed Royal Base members." Now, again, that was not my point at all. I only wanted to compare the two beehives of Digimon and Pokemon to see how they differ. That's it. Yes, my research may have been poor on the side of Pokemon, which may have given the impression that Digimon is superior, to which I take full responsibility by the way, but it certainly was not my intention at all to see which one is better. I only said that Digimon took it to the next level because they exaggerated their concept of beehive by making it an aerial airbase with bees that have swords, radars, cannons, etc. I even claimed it was no different than the United States of America. Besides, even if I were to do extensive research on the Pokemon side, you need to understand one thing. The way the Pokemon and Digimon hives work are explained via the Pokemon and Digimon who represent them. Pokemon has Combee and Vespiquen at the side of the Vespiquen hive. The Digimon Royal Base has Fanbimon, Cannonbimon, Waspmon, Vespamon, Tiger Vespamon, which is a codename for a specific Vespamon, only hinting that there are multiple Vespamon with their own strengths and characteristics. And there is another page dedicated to explaining the Royal Base and its mysteries, which by the way are left unsolved. So, for that comparison video, it is normal to see that I talk more about Digimon than Pokemon, because objectively spoken, the one side that has more people will have more stories to tell, no matter how much you try to stretch it out. The only reason, Andres, I take my time to discuss your 6-page long rebuttal, even though it had nothing to do with my point of comparing the two hives, the only reason I decide to do the effort one more time is because you put in the effort of actually writing 6 pages to prove your point, otherwise it would be a waste. And mind, even if you do not see the bees of both franchises fight, you did an extensive work making them fight to prove a point on something I do not claim because you assume only. Before I start, I do want to be very serious on one thing, so pay attention because I don't want to take that tone online ever again. I'll even cut the music for that. I make this video because I really care about you, Andres. I care about you, your work and opinion, just like I care about the others of the Digimon community. I made a previous work that clearly did not make you happy. So be it. But let us be clear on one thing. Never again will you say that I think little of my viewers. That is one thing I can never tolerate, especially after the effort I have put for them and for you in previous videos, this video and future videos. Do not ever come back with something resembling "do not think little of your viewers" or there will be consequences. I want you to look very carefully to this picture. I summoned a public council in the Digimon Empire to discuss this situation. Digimon Empire is a server on Discord where you and all those who are listening are more than welcome to join if you have Discord or when you'll have Discord. You can find the link of it in the description box. I was being counseled by what we named the Demon Emperor Horio, the Vice Demon Lord Happy, the Demon Lord nicknamed the Shadow in the Mask, and Aladdin the Carpet Man. Some said I should apologize for making a video that did not meet your expectation, for which I sincerely say, I'm sorry, Andres. But here's one more proof that if I really thought little of my viewers, I wouldn't be seeking for their counsel and I wouldn't have given them the responsibility to govern the Digimon Empire. I will always remain open for criticism as it is needed to improve ourselves, though you must know that giving criticism is an art that many unfortunately do not master. Anyway, enough of the seriousness, it's getting boring, eh? Let us enjoy what Andres wrote for us, or well, for me, right? Andres wrote the following about the Pokemon Combee confronting the Digimon Fanbimon. This isn't a fight and entirely in Combee's court. Fanbimon being aerial opponents are vulnerable to tornadoes that the Combee whips up, blowing the Fanbimon away like unwanted dust and scattering them. They can try to call their friends and utilize their stingers, but once again the whirlwinds completely block the stingers, which can be sent right back at the Fanbimon. Fanbimon, being mostly organic, can most certainly smell, which makes them susceptible to sweet scent, removing the Fanbimon as a threat and removing them the mental faculties to call for backup. That is not saying about Combee's sonic weaponry or disruptions. Victory will be decisive and swift for the Combee. Okay, so first of all, before we evaluate who will win, why not first work on the context to make things fair for every involved party? We're talking about the Vespiquen hive doing battle against the Royal Base. Mind, the Royal Base is up there in the air, while the Vespiquen hive would high probably be near the ground. The Royal Base already has the advantage of being up there in the sky. There's a reason why in geopolitics everything aerial is deemed extremely dangerous, because it is harder to avoid incoming attacks and it is harder to retaliate. To continue with the setting, if we are going to see which hive is better, that means we need to exclude the element of surprise. This would be meaning that both parties should in the very least be aware that they are fighting each other. Otherwise the comparison makes no sense. With that premise, there would be no need for Famimon to call on backup because the base is already a locking target and all parties are aware that they are doing battle against the Vespiquen Hive. Let us take a look at the numbers now. We know that bees have a tendency to multiply themselves depending on the resources. The same will obviously apply with Digimon and Pokemon. And you see our cute three-headed bee named Combee here? According to the Pokédex entry in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, at night Combee sleep in a group of about 1,000 packed closely together in a lump. So you would think, okay, looks like we are talking about a group of many, right? Until you see the Pokédex entry of Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 who says the following: this Pokemon is a set of 3. When they sleep, they gather up and form a giant hive of 100 Combee. There are two things I can take from this. One, there is a contradiction and we do not know with how many Combee are, and two, it might not really matter because according to the Pokédex entry, Combee only gather up in a group when they are about to sleep, meaning that in a battle against the royal base they would certainly be combat ready, but would not necessarily gather in a group and form a giant hive. Now, according to Andres, the first vague of the royal base warriors, meaning Famimon, who will also be with many, are going to lose because the entire Combee corps will use the attack Gust, who, according to Pokemon standards, work well on flying opponents. To which I have to ask the following: I know that Pokemon has this system of certain type of attacks being stronger or weaker against a particular type of Pokemon. Would that also apply to Digimon? I don't know about that, but let us assume it does. How strong would Gust be? In Pokemon, an attack is only as strong as its user. That is very important to know because otherwise a little Combee would have the same attack power as the legendary Pokemon Lugia. That would obviously be extremely weird. Gust is a flying attack which is considered a special attack. When you look at the stats of Combee, whether you think it is accurate or not, the Pokemon is quite mediocre. It has as much special attack power as it has with its health points. Very weak aside of its speed. But then again, speed won't really matter because every attack aimed towards the Queen Mother Vespiquen, it will probably connect with Combee as it will gladly sacrifice itself to let the Queen live longer. What you have to know about Gust is that it is a very weak attack. It is among the weakest flying moves in the Pokemon franchise. Heck, in an article about the 10 strongest flying type moves, written by Michael Christopher, Gust did not even make the list. That is how bad it is. So if Combee were to defeat the entire Famimon line and in a dream scenario, no Combee were to be killed by Famimon's attack, how much strength will Combee with the little bodies have left to use the attack Gust again against the second, third and fourth wave of the royal base? And mind, it is impossible to have no Combee being killed by Famimon because bees tend to surround their enemies when attacking. This would make the attack Gust weaker because all it will do is delay the inevitable. Also, Andres used the attack Sweet Scent as an attack that would neutralize some of the incoming Famimon. I was hoping that Sweet Scent would be damaging. The only thing it does is lower the evasiveness of the one it was aimed to. It is not going to be a game changer. In fact, it might even be their doom. Let me explain. Combee are known to give their lives for the Queen. They will protect her no matter what. The best strategy would be to surround the Queen and constantly throw Gust towards the Famimon who probably are spreading around Vespiquen. Mind, Famimon have projectiles. Sure, they may be rendered useless by Gust as Andres has said, but still, it would be enough to keep them busy. At some point, the Combee crew will get tired because Gust is making them flap their wings for an extended amount of time. Even bees need to rest. They'll be using Sweet Scent, and if by any luck it hits a Famimon, well, Famimon will be slower. That's it. Among the moves Combee will have left is called Bug Bite. A powerful move, yes, but one that will require close range. At the moment they'll have to go close range to try and bite Famimon, the Queen Vespiquen will little by little be left defenseless and thus vulnerable to attacks. Now we can go as far as to say you will change the level of Combee by making it stronger to use the attack Bug Buzz, to which I will have to say, 1. This is cheating, because the entire Famimon line is fighting in base stat, and 2. It looks like you need to change levels in order to have a bit more chance at winning, and still there is no way to win. Let me explain why. How impressive the move Bug Buzz may be, it is a move with only 10 PP, meaning that its usage will be done quicker than Gust. Clearly, the longer the battle is taking, the more it is in the favor of Fanbimon. Now, let us say that all Fanbimon are killed by Combi. Seriously guys, at what state would Combi be? Most will have used all their moves already, and then the royal base is about to send the second wave of soldiers, Waspmon. This time, they are not organic anymore, they are cyborgs, who clearly are more powerful than Fanbimon, and that for a large margin. Bug Bite will be useless on cyborgs. Sweet Scent is useless on cyborgs. You might see the last waves of Gust, but that would not be for long, and worse, they would be weaker on Waspmon, because Waspmon is an evolved form. I don't really know how to say it, so I'll go straight to the point. The second wave of attacks by the royal base, meaning with Waspmon and their rapid fire laser, will be the end of the Vespiquen Hive. How long will the queen be able to defend herself in the long run? I tried to make the battle as fair as possible, even giving the Vespiquen Hive some advantage by raising their levels, but even at their best day, the maximum they will be able to do is get to the second wave and then die with no survivors. Andres, I will be very honest with you. I can't even use the rest of your 6-page long document because a lot does not make sense. Look how many times you have used the attack Gust, and think a bit. You claim that the attack will make of Combi the ultimate victor. You claim they will gust their way through all Fanbimon, all Waspmon and all Cannonbeamon, and still you go further and claim that once inside the royal base they will kill Vespamon with the same attack, an attack that is among the weakest flying attacks in the Pokemon universe, and that coming from an individually weak Pokemon to say the least. And you don't even realize that Pokemon, after using their attacks so many times, they get tired. It is almost the same as saying that a Combi with its Gust attack will be able to defeat, let us say, a Blastoise, a Charizard and a Venusaur after battling a first, second and third wave of Beedrill. That is not realistic at all, even in Pokemon standards, and worse, this is basically worship level subjectivity. And then you end the document by writing the following: I wanted a detailed comparison between the two hives and their equally viable solutions to defending their home, and what I got was a product where the creator couldn't be bothered to do their research, left out a horrendous amount of information, prattled on the second half of the video about how Digimon is so much better, repeating that very same mindset that I absolutely despise. To say that I'm disappointed is an understatement. You, Nostalgia, have a very bad habit of doing this. And as I said before, when I said next level, I meant that the Digimon developers tend to exaggerate their approach on Digimon. It was not about who is better or weaker, it never was. And objectively spoken, when you have 4 Digimon and a royal base that you can compare to 2 Pokemon, one of which is the Hive, it is normal that I will be talking longer about Digimon and not Pokemon. And when you check the other comparison videos, like with the Dark Magician against Wizardmon, I had no issue claiming that in a death battle Wizardmon would lose. This shows that I, in the least, try to stay as objective as I can, even if I am mostly talking about Digimon. You came to me with a document of 6 pages, explaining how the Gust of a Combi will finish the royal base. Gust, a weak attack coming from a weak Pokemon in comparison to the others, without considering that Combi can get tired, without considering that Combi will always remain close to Vespiquen, meaning that if Combi is inside the royal base, that Vespiquen will be there too, only raising her chances of being killed. Without considering that the closer you get to the base, the stronger the Digimon gets, and thus the weaker Combi's attacks, even if they may be super effective by Pokemon standards. I only needed 1 paragraph of your work to make my point, while you needed 6 with plenty of information while forgetting a crucial one: Pokemon get tired. That is not the same in the royal base, as everyone, excluding Fanbimon, are robots. So this is the world we are living in, right? We do effort for someone, only to receive words like, "Oh, you disappoint me," or "Ooh, you don't bother to do your research," or "Ooh, you think little of your viewers," after doing something I did not even have to do, but still did out of love and kindness. This is what I get. No wonder the world is such a mess.